You dug that bed twice this month. You watered it heavily before planting. Still, those seedlings are barely growing while the weeds next to them are thriving. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why your soil keeps getting worse and how to rebuild it naturally without having to keep digging every season. You sink your spade into a patch you have worked for 15 years. Instead of a dark, heavy clump, dry gray dust spills off the blade. Not a single earthworm in sight. You figure the ground just needs more air or water, so you turn it deeper and soak it. A few days later, the surface bakes into a hard, impenetrable crust. The new sprouts struggle to push through that shell. I remember standing over my own garden beds a decade ago, holding a heavy steel fork, wondering why my soil was getting worse every single year. I was doing exactly what I had been taught, but the plants were shrinking, and the dirt was turning to concrete, and the fix costs almost nothing. No rototiller, no fertilizers, no expensive soil, just a few layers added on top. Stop turning the dirt today. Put the spade away in the shed. We are going to build a new layer right on top of the old one. Start by laying down plain brown cardboard directly over the dust and the weeds. Do not break the surface first. Just cover the ground completely. When you drive a spade into the earth, you are tearing apart an underground ecosystem. Every time you dig, you disrupt many of the fungal networks and worm tunnels that hold healthy soil together. Break that structure often enough, and rich soil can gradually lose its structure, becoming dusty and compacted. And here's the crazy part. Most gardeners think all of that means they need to dig even more. That is what keeps the cycle going. You might think you are fluffing the earth to give the roots more oxygen. In reality, you are collapsing the microscopic architecture that took years to form. I save heavy corrugated cardboard all year for this exact purpose. Avoid heavily coated, glossy, or waxed cardboard. Plain brown boxes with minimal printing are the safest choice. Peel off the packing tape and lay the pieces down so they overlap by at least 6 inches. If you leave gaps, aggressive weeds will push right through. This layer blocks the sun to smother weeds and serves as a carbon-rich layer that feeds soil fungi as it breaks down. That wavy middle layer acts like thousands of tiny pockets that hold moisture instead of letting it disappear. When you lay it down, use a hose to soak the cardboard thoroughly. Soaking it makes it heavy so it molds to the uneven ground and jumpstarts the breakdown process. A dry piece of cardboard acts like an umbrella, shedding water away from the root zone. A soaked piece helps move moisture into the soil beneath it. If you have thick vines or deep tap roots, leave them alone. Digging often brings dormant weed seeds back to the surface. Just chop the tall weeds down right at the surface. Drop the chopped greens right where they fall. They will add organic matter and nutrients back into the soil as they break down, and you can lay your cardboard directly over them. The heavy roots will slowly decay, leaving behind channels that can help water and soil organisms move deeper into the ground. Earthworms often use these natural pathways during the hot summer months. Most people obsess over the cardboard. In reality, it is what goes on top that determines whether this system succeeds or fails. Next, we bring life back to the surface. Spread 2 to 4 inches of compost directly over the wet cardboard. This becomes your growing zone for the first season. This layer introduces fresh organic matter and a rich community of beneficial microorganisms. But there is a trap here. Use fully finished compost. If you can still recognize the original materials, let it mature longer. Fresh compost can temporarily rob young plants of nitrogen. Only use finished material. The thickness of this dark layer is crucial for success. Picture the difference between a thin dusting that cracks in the sun and a thick blanket you could sink your hand into. If you apply less than 2 inches, it will dry out too rapidly under the summer sun. If you apply more than 4 inches, you are simply wasting valuable material that could be used on another bed. The compost provides the immediate fertility your seedlings need while the cardboard below slowly breaks down. This is where many gardeners make their first mistake. They use compost that is not fully finished. You can make good compost at home using kitchen scraps, grass clippings, and autumn leaves. If you are buying it in bulk from a local supplier, always ask what ingredients went into their mix. You want a balanced blend, not just pure aged manure. Poorly composted manure can carry high salt levels or residual herbicides that will stunt your vegetables. A good compost smells sweet and earthy, like a forest floor after a spring rain. It should crumble easily in your hand. When you plant your seeds or seedlings, they go directly into this layer. Their roots will spread horizontally through the rich material, gathering strength before they eventually push through the softening cardboard below. But even perfect compost will not save the bed if you skip the next layer. Here is what many gardeners get wrong. Bare compost will dry out. Add 1 to 2 inches of organic mulch right on top, such as clean straw, aged wood chips, or shredded autumn leaves. The mulch acts like a temperature control blanket, protecting the bacteria and fungi as they break down the compost and cardboard underneath. Without mulch, the top inch of your compost turns into a crusty, barren desert during a heat wave. By adding a simple layer of straw or leaves, you keep the surface active and alive. Avoid using hay for this step, as it is often packed with thousands of weed seeds that will sprout and compete with your crops. If you choose wood chips, make sure they have aged for a few months. Freshly chipped wood placed directly against tender vegetable stems can draw away nitrogen just like unfinished compost. Keep the mulch pulled back about an inch from the base of your plants to prevent stem rot. You will handle water completely differently now. Bare soil sheds water like a tin roof. A compost and mulch layer absorbs it like a sponge and releases it slowly back to the roots. That is why you will usually water less often. Evaporation drops dramatically. Roots experience more even moisture. This steady moisture helps earthworms stay active and gives fungi the environment they need to rebuild the soil structure. When I used to water my bare dirt, I would stand there with a hose for 20 minutes, watching the water pool and run off into the pathways. The surface looked wet, but if I scratched down half an inch, the earth was completely dry. Now, when the water hits the mulch, it instantly soaks in. It filters down into the compost and gets held there by the damp cardboard. You are creating a moisture reservoir. During dry spells, this stored moisture often helps plants stay healthier for longer. This is a permanent shift, and here's the part most people never expect. I rely on top dressing. Every autumn or spring, add another inch or two of fresh compost right on top of the old mulch. Let the weather and earthworms do the mixing. The worms will travel up, eat the fresh compost, and carry it down. You simply supply materials at the surface. You do not need to lay down new cardboard every single year. The cardboard is just the first step to smother the initial weeds and reset the bed. Once the system is running, the annual layer of compost and mulch is enough to keep the fertility high and the weeds suppressed. I prefer to add my new layers in the late autumn. The beds are empty, and the winter rain or snow helps break the material down slowly. By the time spring arrives, the beds are well prepared and ready for early planting. If you prefer to prep in the spring, that works too, as long as your compost is fully mature. But none of that convinced me until I checked underneath the cardboard. The first time I tried this, I honestly expected nothing. Then I lifted the cardboard 3 weeks later and counted more worms than I had seen in years. If worms are present in your area and the soil stays moist, you may start seeing them gathering beneath the cardboard within a few weeks. By the second year, many gardeners notice the soil is noticeably softer and easier to work. Most of the heavy digging ends the day you switch to this system. The change is not overnight. You will not have perfectly loose loam in 3 days, but you will see the progression. The gray dust slowly turns a darker shade of brown. The hard crust stops forming after a heavy rain. Many vegetables develop stronger, more extensive root systems because the soil becomes easier to explore. Want to know the biggest mistake that ruins this entire system? Most people do it every single day without realizing it. Walking on the growing area. When you step on these layered beds, your body weight compresses the air pockets out. Compaction reduces oxygen, slowing many of the beneficial organisms that help build healthy soil. Think of it as a no-step zone. Establish dedicated walking paths filled with wood chips. I keep my paths narrow enough that I can easily reach the center of the growing bed from either side without ever putting a boot on the planting surface. Once the bed is built, avoid stepping on it whenever possible. If you must step into the bed to harvest a heavy crop, lay down a wide wooden board first to distribute your weight evenly and remove it immediately after. Another trap is the urge to mix the compost into the dirt below. Resist that urge. If you mix it deeply into compacted soil, decomposition slows and many of the benefits are reduced. Let the worms bring it down slowly. The forest floor never gets tilled, yet it creates the kind of living soil that gardeners spend years trying to rebuild. Your soil is not dead. It is exhausted. You just need to stop interfering from below and start feeding from above. 6 months from now, that patch of dusty ground could be the healthiest soil in your entire garden. The first step is putting the spade away today. The best gardens are not built by fighting the soil. They are built by working with it. Now it is your turn to see what is happening beneath the surface. Push a finger into the soil and tell me in the comments what you find. Is it dusty? Hard? Full of worms? I would love to hear about it. If this video helped, please give it a thumbs up, share it with another gardener who is still fighting hard soil, and subscribe so you do not miss the next step in rebuilding your garden naturally.